Hello, everyone. I just got back from TED Week in Vancouver, Canada. And as usual, when coming back from a TED conference, I am exhausted, exhilarated, elated, and yes, certainly elevated. The TED conference started way back in 1998 by the wonderful architect and graphic designer Richard Salomon. And I've had the great privilege of attending many conferences. And as many of you know, my wife Jessica has been a TEDx organizer in Chicago for the past 5 years. So needless to say, we are big fans and supporters of the value and the power and the joy of ideas worth spreading. I typically summarize my own TED conferences in a post, and I've done so in many, many years. But since I'm now writing this weekly newsletter, I thought I'd share it here instead. But let me first reflect a little bit on the re and the uni before I get to the TED in the reunited. On the re, for most TEDsters, as people who are attending the conference typically are called, this was the first big gathering since the pandemic. And in all likelihood, it was for many the first time we got together in a very large group inside a theater, reuniting with friends we haven't seen for years. And TED prepared thoughtfully and organized and executed a stringent safety protocol very effectively in an effort to ensure that people felt safe. I believe there were well over 3,000 tests made on site as one example. And that certainly helped many people re-enter conferencing with less trepidation and fear. Obviously, people have very different risk tolerances, personal experiences, and health conditions, so you could witness many different forms of approaches during the week. Some wore masks diligently, some weren't, some hugged and kissed, some didn't. But the heartening and wonderful thing was that all preferences seemed to be respected, embraced, celebrated, and not judged. Refreshing. Personally, I felt the conference started with a bit of hesitation in the air. I first wondered whether this was in my soul and in all others, or in the programming itself. I can't know for sure, but I did feel that as the week went on, things felt more and more normal. And perhaps that is what RE stands for. Because of the pandemic, we're all rookies again. We get to experience new types of firsts. While they're not entirely new experiences, they do carry with them those feelings of uncertainty, anticipation, and a slight discomfort that all new experiences often bring. While we never get a second chance to make a first impression, we certainly have been given a unique chance to reframe, reimagine, and rethink how we best re-enter old experiences. Hopefully, we can keep what we loved with them before and change what we didn't. I'm hopeful that this is happening across meetings, offices, habits in education, etc. On the uni, obviously the overwhelming feeling I bring home is how wonderful it is to be together again. There's just nothing that can take the place of a shared experience. Whether it is when hearing an idea and feeling and seeing the reactions from others and how these reactions actually impact my own, or realizing how much I've forgotten the true value of facial expressions, eye contact, warm embraces, full bodies, multisensory communication, and all the rest of it. Our world is so divided and polarized, and the pandemic has most likely widened, worsened, and exacerbated the distance between people. The question is whether it is possible to come together without coming together. I doubt it. And of course, my favorite, the best way to break loneliness, silence, or even conflicts is by breaking bread. The meal times we shared together this week were always moments of new insights, new connections, and the sharing of both dreams and vulnerabilities. And then TED. It is impossible, at least for me, to summarize a week at TED. The wonderful poet Sarah Kay did a masterful job at the end of the week to do just that. Look out for that when it's posted. You can also read Ted's blog if you're interested in learning more, and talks will be posted on TED.com over the next few months. And there are already a few up there. I spent quality time with well over 50 people, met another few hundred, and listened intently to 79 talks, plus a few in-depth interviews. They are by design also ideas that are divergent, diverse, interdisciplinary, and purposefully wide-ranging. I believe the true power of real curiosity is that it works in a compounding way. If you are open to one idea, you will discover many others. The exact time, nature, and value of those ideas aren't apparent at the moment you're exposed to them. That's why curiosity is more relational and attitudinal than transactional. Or like Viktor Frankl so persistently reminded us, that success, like happiness, cannot be pursued, it must ensue. In a world with so much change, so many challenges, and yet so many opportunities, having a truly open mind is a necessity if we are to find the solutions we all want. And TED is a fantastic community that truly is helping me to widen my aperture, appetite, and aspiration. Sometimes I try to cluster talks and ideas into themes, and sometimes I simply want to highlight the ones that moved me the most. This year I've actually listed 30 talks below that I found important, inspiring, and worth sharing more broadly. Let me just say that this does not mean that all other talks were uninspiring, uninteresting, or any other way less valuable. But I just felt that these 30, at least at this moment, were worth highlighting. Obviously, only a few are released so far, so you might want to bookmark the website version of this newsletter, where I will try to insert hot links to each of these as they become available over time. Finally, they are not in order of impact or value, but rather in the order they appeared at the conference. And for this recorded version of this newsletter, I'm not going to read all 30, but I encourage you to get to the email. There are a lot of hot links and valuable resources in that email that you can keep track of over time and watch a bunch of really inspiring TED Talks over the weeks and months ahead. I hope you will do just that. That's all. As I wrote above, new connections, ideas, and outputs from all these inputs are for sure going to emerge in the weeks and days and years to come. And I'm truly grateful to have TED in my life. The world is surely better because TED is in it. And there are lots of resources you can find on the website if you want to learn more. Have a great week.